I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, practicing my smile one more time. In my hands was the gift I'd spent weeks putting together, a leather portfolio embossed with her new business name, filled with contracts I'd already negotiated with 3 potential clients. Real clients. Not the made-up ones from her previous ventures. "Happy launch day, sweetheart," I whispered to my reflection, checking my lipstick. At 63, I still wanted to look put together for my daughter's special moments. Robert knocked gently on the door. "Linda, are you sure about this? That's 3 months of your salary in there." "She's finally serious this time," I said, tucking a strand of gray hair behind my ear. "She took that business course. She has a real plan." My husband's silence said everything. We'd had this conversation 7 times before. The drive to Melissa's apartment in Capitol Hill took 20 minutes. Seattle traffic was manageable on a Tuesday morning. I'd taken the day off from my job at the accounting firm, something I rarely did because Melissa said this launch was important. She needed me there. Her apartment building was nice, too nice for someone who hadn't held a steady job in 3 years, but I didn't let myself think about that. We paid her rent. It was temporary, just until this business took off. I knocked 3 times, the way I always did. Our special knock from when she was little. Melissa opened the door, phone pressed to her ear. She was laughing. She held up one finger, "Wait a minute," and turned back into the apartment. "I know, right?" she said into the phone. "Can you believe it? 63 years old and still working like some entry-level employee." More laughter. "Because she feels guilty, Tara." "That's literally the only reason." "They both do." I stood frozen in the doorway, gift bag dangling from my hand. My dad was a mechanic his whole life. A mechanic. And my mom's just an accountant at some boring firm. They're so ordinary. They don't understand ambition. She paused, listening. "No, I know. That's why I need to make it big. I refuse to end up like them, just existing, working until they die, never doing anything meaningful." The gift bag slipped from my fingers. It hit the hardwood floor with a thud. Melissa spun around. Her face went pale. "I'll call you back," she said quickly, ending the call. We stared at each other. The morning sunlight streaming through her floor-to-ceiling windows we paid for, illuminated the space between us. "Mom, Ordinary?" I said quietly. The word felt like broken glass in my mouth. "Mom, you don't understand. I was just venting. Tara and I were working until we die, never doing anything meaningful." I picked up the gift bag from the floor. My hands were shaking. "Your father rebuilt engines for 42 years. He put 3 kids through college. Your brothers never treated him like he was nothing." "That's not what I meant." "What did you mean, Melissa?" She crossed her arms, and I saw it, that flash of defiance I'd been ignoring for years. "I meant that I want more than what you guys settled for. Is that so wrong?" "Settled for." The words hung in the air between us. "Your rent," I said slowly, "is $2,800 a month. Your car payment is $600. Your phone, your insurance, your groceries, all of it comes from people who settled." "Mom, don't make this about money. This business launch today, I held up the gift bag. I spent $6,200 getting you real clients, real contracts, because I believed in you." Her eyes widened. "$6,200? Mom, I didn't ask you to do that. You asked me for $8,000 last month. For website design and marketing materials." That was different. Was it? I opened the gift bag, pulled out the portfolio. "Do you even remember what you told me this business was going to be?" Melissa looked away. "Luxury event planning for corporate clients," I continued. "You said you'd taken a certification course. You said you had connections. You begged me not to tell your father because he wouldn't understand your vision." I did take a course. A 2-week online workshop that cost $3,000. I paid for it. "Do you remember what the business before that was?" Silence. "Organic skincare. Before that, a boutique fitness studio. Before that, a lifestyle blog that would get sponsorships. Before that—" "Okay, I get it." Melissa's voice rose. "I've made mistakes. I'm trying to figure out what I'm good at." "You're 31 years old. So? Some people don't find their path until their 40s. I set the portfolio on her kitchen counter, the marble counter we'd helped pay to renovate. "You're right, some people don't. But those people work jobs while they figure it out. They don't live off their ordinary, meaningless parents. Mom, come on. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. My daughter, who'd cried for 3 hours when her favorite restaurant stopped carrying her preferred sparkling water, was calling me dramatic. I walked to her refrigerator and opened it. Organic everything. Grass-fed beef, imported cheeses. The kind of groceries Robert and I couldn't afford for ourselves. When your father lost his job 3 years ago, I said quietly, we ate pasta and canned sauce for 8 months straight. Do you remember visiting us during that time? Melissa shifted her weight. You guys said you were fine. We were fine. We made it work. Do you know why your father lost that job? The shop closed. The shop closed because the owner retired. Your father could have bought it. He had the option. $28,000 for a fully operational business with steady clients. I watched understanding slowly dawn on her face. He didn't buy it because you called us that week. You needed $30,000 for the boutique fitness studio. The lease deposit, the equipment, the insurance. You said it was your dream. You said you'd pay us back in 6 months. Melissa's phone buzzed on the counter. She didn't reach for it. We never saw a penny of that money, I continued. The studio lasted 4 months. You said the market wasn't ready for your vision. The location was wrong. Your father could have owned a business, Melissa. A real profitable business. Instead, he works at Jiffy Lube now, changing oil for $19 an hour, because he gave you his chance. The apartment was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming. And you know what he said when I cried about it? My voice cracked. He said, she's our daughter, Lynn. We'll be okay. She needs this more than we do. Melissa's eyes were red now. But she wasn't crying. She was angry. So, what? You're going to throw everything in my face now? Every dollar you ever gave me? That's not fair, Mom. Parents are supposed to help their kids. Help, yes. Enable, no. What's the difference? I thought about the question, really thought about it. When had helping become enabling? When had love become obligation? The difference, I said finally, is that helping builds you up. Enabling keeps you dependent. And right now, you're 31, living in a luxury apartment you can't afford, planning businesses you never finish, calling your parents ordinary and meaningless. I said I was sorry. No, you didn't. Melissa blinked. What? You said I didn't understand. You said I was being dramatic. You said I was making it about money. You haven't said you're sorry. We stared at each other across her expensive kitchen. Fine, she said coldly. I'm sorry you overheard a private conversation. I picked up the gift bag. I'm sorry too. I was halfway to the door when she called out. Where are you going? What about the launch? I turned back. What launch, Melissa? There is no event planning business. Just like there was no skincare line, no fitness studio, no blog career. There's just a pattern. And I'm done funding it. You can't be serious. I have never been more serious in my life. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't need to. The quiet click of it closing felt more final than any dramatic exit could have been. Robert was in the garage when I got home, lying under our old Honda. He'd been trying to fix the transmission for 3 weeks because we couldn't afford the shop prices. How'd it go? He called out. I sat down on the concrete floor next to him, not caring that I was wearing my good work pants. She thinks we're ordinary, I said. He rolled out from under the car, grease on his cheek. What? I told him everything. Every word. When I finished, he didn't speak for a long moment. Then he said, Maybe we are ordinary. Robert. No, listen. Maybe we are. I change oil. You balance spreadsheets. We eat dinner at 5:30. We watch Jeopardy. We're not flying to Paris or starting companies or living in fancy apartments. He wiped his hands on a rag. But you know what? I've been married to you for 41 years. We raised 3 kids. We own this house. We're ordinary, and I'm proud of it. Something in my chest cracked open. I'm done, I whispered. Done with what? All of it. The rent, the car payment, the emergency funds that are never emergencies. I'm done. Robert sat up, studying my face. What do you want to do? I thought about the leather portfolio, still in the gift bag in my car, $6,200 in contracts that Melissa would never use. I thought about the studio equipment gathering dust in her storage unit, the boxes of unsold skincare products, the business cards from ventures that never ventured anywhere. I want to call our lawyer, I said. 3 days later, Melissa called. I didn't answer. She called again and again. On the 4th day, she showed up at our house. Robert answered the door. I stayed in the kitchen, listening. "Where's Mom?" Melissa demanded. "She's busy." "Dad, come on. She's ignoring my calls. This is ridiculous." "Is it?" There was a pause. Then Melissa's voice, softer. "Can I at least talk to her?" "That depends. Did you come here to apologize or to ask for something?" She stopped. "Both?" "Then no." He closed the door. When he came into the kitchen, I was crying. "You did good," I said. "We should have done it years ago." The lawyer's name was Patricia Chen. She'd handled our estate planning 5 years earlier. Now she sat across from us in her downtown office, reviewing documents. "Okay," she said. "Let me make sure I understand. You want to remove Melissa from any inheritance, stop all financial support, and establish a formal cease and desist if she continues to request money?" "Yes," I said. "And you're certain about this? Because once we formalize it..." "She called us ordinary and meaningless," Robert said quietly. "She said we were working until we die with nothing to show for it, while living in an apartment we pay for." Patricia nodded slowly. "I've seen this before. Adult children who lose perspective." She pulled out a calculator. "Let's document everything you've given her. We'll need exact amounts if she tries to contest anything." It took 2 hours to list it all. Every business investment, every emergency loan, every month of rent and car payments. When Patricia added it up, the number on her screen made me dizzy. $247,000, she said, over 8 years. Robert's face went gray. That can't be right," I said. Patricia turned her screen to show us the breakdown. There it was. Every withdrawal, every wire transfer, every check we'd written. The fitness studio alone was $30,000. The skincare business, $45,000. Rent at $2,800 a month for 3 years was over $100,000. "Oh my God," I whispered. "We could have retired." "Yes," Patricia said gently. "You could have." Robert reached for my hand. His palm was rough from years of manual work he was still doing at 65 because we'd given our retirement to our daughter. "What would it take to get any of it back?" he asked. Patricia shook her head. "Unless you have written loan agreements." "We don't. It was family." "Then legally those were gifts. You can't recoup them." She paused. "But you can protect what's left." "How?" "New wills. Remove her as beneficiary. Put everything in a trust for your grandchildren or other heirs. Formal letter stating that all financial support ends immediately. If she harasses you, we can pursue a restraining order." "A restraining order against our daughter," Robert said hollowly. "It's an option, not a requirement." I thought about Melissa's 2 children, Emma, age 6, and Sophie, age 4. My granddaughters. I saw them maybe once a month, always at our house, always briefly. Melissa was usually in a hurry. "The grandchildren," I said. "Can we set up something for them? College funds that Melissa can't touch?" "Absolutely. How much are you thinking?" Robert and I looked at each other. We'd been saving for years, tucked away in accounts Melissa didn't know about. Money we'd hidden from ourselves, almost, because we knew if we saw it, we'd be tempted to give it to her. $50,000 total, I said. 25 each. Done. We signed papers. So many papers. With each signature, I felt lighter and heavier at the same time. When we left Patricia's office, it was raining. Classic Seattle. Robert opened the umbrella, the cheap one from Costco, not the fancy kind Melissa owned, and we walked to our car. "She's going to be furious," he said. "I know. She'll say we're abandoning her." "I know. The kids. We'll be fine. Better than fine. They'll have college paid for, which is more than we could give our own kids." Robert unlocked the car but didn't get in. He stood there in the rain, letting it soak his shoulders. "I failed her," he said. "As a father. I never taught her the value of work because I did everything for her." "We did everything for her," I corrected, "both of us. And maybe that was the failure, not teaching her that ordinary work has value. Think she'll ever understand?" "I don't know. But I can't keep sacrificing our future to fund her present. The formal letter arrived at Melissa's apartment 5 days later, delivered by courier. Patricia had advised against email or regular mail. This way we had proof of delivery. Melissa called 17 times that day. I didn't answer. She showed up at our house that evening. We didn't answer the door. At 9 p.m., she sent a text. "I have kids, Mom. How am I supposed to feed them?" I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "The same way millions of parents do. Get a job." Her response was immediate. "You're a horrible mother." I put my phone on silent and went to bed. But I didn't sleep. I lay there thinking about when it had all gone wrong. Melissa had been such a sweet child, curious, creative, full of dreams. When had dreams become delusions? When had creativity become an excuse for not persisting? Maybe it was when we said yes the first time she quit something hard. Maybe it was when we praised her potential instead of her effort. Maybe it was when we made excuses for her failures instead of letting her face consequences. Or maybe, and this was the thought that kept me awake, maybe it wasn't about when, maybe it was about now, about whether we had the courage to change course. 2 weeks passed in silence. Then a letter arrived, not from Melissa but from Emma, my 6-year-old granddaughter. The envelope had crayon drawings all over it, hearts and flowers. Inside, in careful first-grade handwriting, "Dear Grandma, Mommy is sad. She cries a lot. Sophie asks, when we can come to your house. I miss you. Love, Emma." I read it 5 times, tears streaming down my face. "She used the kids," Robert said when I showed him. "She had Emma write this to manipulate you." "She's 6 years old, Robert. She probably wanted to write to me. Or Melissa dictated it. Either way, they miss us. We miss them too." He took the letter, traced the crayon hearts with his finger. "But we can see them without funding Melissa's lifestyle." "How?" "She won't let us." Then we tell her that. Supervised visits, at our house, whenever she wants, but no money changes hands. I composed the text carefully. Emma's letter broke my heart. "We love you and the girls. You are always welcome at our home. We can't give you money anymore, but we can give you time, love, and support. Please let us see our granddaughters." Melissa's response came an hour later. "You can't buy back my love with visits. Either help me or stay out of our lives." I showed Robert the message. "Well," he said, "that's clear. She's using the children as leverage." "Yes, that's not okay." "No." We sat in our living room, our small, ordinary living room, with secondhand furniture and photos of all 3 kids on the walls, and faced the truth. Our daughter was manipulating us. And she'd learned it from us, because we'd taught her that emotional leverage worked. "I need to do something for myself," I said suddenly. "Something that's just mine." Robert looked at me. "Like what?" "I don't know yet, but something. For years my identity has been mother, wife, provider. I want to remember who Linda is." He smiled. "I'd like to meet her again, too." The next morning, I walked into my boss's office. "Sarah, I need to talk to you about my retirement timeline." Sarah looked up from her computer. "You're only 63, we've got you scheduled until 67 at least." "I know. But I've been thinking. Robert and I have been saving. We're careful. And I realized I've been working to support someone else's dreams while putting mine on hold." "Melissa?" I shouldn't have been surprised that she knew. I'd taken too many calls, too many half-days for too many failed business launches. "Yeah." "How much longer are you thinking?" 6 months. Enough to train my replacement, close out this fiscal year, take my vacation days." Sarah nodded. "And then what?" "Travel, maybe. Or learn something new. I've always wanted to take pottery classes, paint, read books in the middle of the day just because I can." I laughed. "That sounds silly." "It sounds perfect." I put in my retirement notice that day. It felt like stepping off a cliff. It also felt like flying. Melissa found out through my sister, Janet. Apparently, Melissa had called her, fishing for money, and Janet had casually mentioned my retirement plans. The call came at 6 in the morning. "You're retiring?" Melissa's voice was shrill. "How can you afford that?" "Hello, Melissa. I'm fine, thank you for asking." "Don't be sarcastic, Mom. This is serious. If you're retiring, you must have money saved. I need help with. I hung up. She called back immediately. I didn't answer. Over the next month, the calls and messages became desperate. Her rent was due, her car might be repossessed. The girls needed new clothes. Emma had a field trip she couldn't afford. Each message was a knife to my heart. But I'd learned something important. Melissa's emergencies were always emergencies because she never planned ahead. She spent money on luxuries, expensive coffee, boutique groceries, designer clothes she'd post on Instagram, then claimed poverty when bills came due. Robert and I did our research. We found out her car payment was for a BMW she didn't need. Her apartment rent was high because she'd insisted on Capitol Hill instead of a more affordable neighborhood. The girls' private school cost $18,000 a year when the public school in her district had excellent ratings. She manufactured this crisis, Robert said, showing me the spreadsheet he'd made. If she drove a Honda instead of a BMW, lived in Renton instead of Capitol Hill, and used public school, she'd save $43,000 a year. She'd hate all of that. Yes, but she could afford her life. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. My son, Marcus, called. He lived in Portland with his family, a successful contractor who'd built his business from nothing. We'd helped him with his first tool purchase 20 years ago, $800. He'd paid us back in 6 months. Mom, I heard about what happened with Melissa. She called you? Yeah. Asked if I could lend her rent money since you guys cut her off. He paused. I said no. Good. She said I was a traitor. I'm sorry, Marcus. You shouldn't be in the middle of this. Mom, stop. I want to be in the middle of it. Someone needs to tell you you did the right thing. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Kyle and I talked, he continued. Our brother and I. We've watched this for years. We've bitten our tongues because we didn't want to cause drama. But Melissa has taken advantage of you guys for so long, and we felt guilty that you had nothing left to help us with. We helped you boys. With $800 for tools, $2,000 for Kyle's first semester textbooks. Compare that to what you've given Melissa. It's not even close, Mom. His voice was gentle but firm. We're proud of you. Both of us. It took guts. After we hung up, I cried for an hour. Relief tears. Validation tears. Grief tears for the years we'd lost. Robert found me in the bedroom. Marcus called you? Yeah. Kyle called me. Said the same thing. We held each other, two ordinary people who'd finally chosen themselves. My last day of work came in December. My colleagues threw me a party, grocery store cake, and cheap champagne, but it was perfect. Sarah gave a speech about my 39 years with the firm. Linda balanced her first ledger when computers were the size of refrigerators, she said, getting laughs. She's trained 2 generations of accountants. She's caught errors that saved clients hundreds of thousands. She's been the backbone of this office. Ordinary work. Meaningful impact. When I got home, there was a package on the porch. No return address. Inside was a card. Mom, I got a job. Receptionist at a dental office. It's not glamorous, but it's steady. The girls are in public school and they love it. I'm sorry for everything. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm trying. Melissa. I sat on the porch steps, package in my lap, and sobbed. Robert came out. What's wrong? I handed him the card. She got a job, he said wonderingly. She got a job. Do we call her? Not yet. Let her succeed first. Let her feel the pride of making it on her own. 3 months into my retirement, I started pottery classes. My hands, trained for decades to type and write, learned to shape clay. I was terrible at first. My bowls were lopsided. My vases collapsed. That's perfect, my instructor said, looking at a particularly wonky mug. Now you know what doesn't work. I thought about that a lot. What doesn't work? Giving money without boundaries doesn't work. Sacrificing yourself doesn't work. Enabling doesn't work. Robert and I took a trip to the Oregon coast, something we'd talked about for 20 years. We stayed in a cheap motel. We ate fish and chips on the beach. We watched the sunset without checking our phones. I'm 65 years old, Robert said, and I'm happier than I've been in a decade. Me too. Think Melissa will ever really understand? Maybe. Maybe not. But I understand now. And that's what matters. 6 months after I retired, Melissa asked to meet. Not at our house, At a coffee shop. Neutral ground. She looked different. Thinner. Tired. But there was something else. Something in her eyes I hadn't seen in years. It took me a moment to recognize it. Humility. "Thank you for coming," she said. "Of course. I've been in therapy. The job offers insurance, so I could finally afford it." She wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. "My therapist says I have a lot to work through. About entitlement. About unrealistic expectations. About using other people." I waited. "I was using you. Both of you." I told myself I was chasing dreams, but really I was just avoiding adult responsibility. Her voice cracked. "I said horrible things about you, to your faces and behind your backs. And you didn't deserve any of it." "No, we didn't. I'm not asking you to forgive me. Not yet. I know I need to earn that. But I wanted you to know I'm working on it. The job is boring, but I'm showing up. The bills are tight, but I'm paying them. The girls are happy in public school." She smiled a little. "Sophie made a best friend. That's wonderful. I miss you. They miss you. But I understand if you need more time." I reached across the table and took her hand. "I don't need time. I need boundaries, and you need to respect them." "I will. No more asking for money. Not for you, not for the girls. If there's a true emergency, you tell us, but you don't expect us to solve it." "Okay. We love you. We always have. But we can't go back to how things were." "I don't want to. That woman who said those things about you, I hate her. I'm trying to be someone different." We met weekly after that. Coffee, sometimes lunch. She told me about work, the difficult patients, the office politics, the satisfaction of her first paycheck that she'd earned entirely herself. "I bought the girls' shoes with my own money," she said one day. "And it felt better than any business launch ever did." 1 year after I retired, Robert and I hosted Thanksgiving. All 3 kids came. Marcus and Kyle with their families. Melissa with Emma and Sophie. I watched my granddaughters play with their cousins in the backyard. They were louder, freer somehow, less burdened by the weight of their mother's unfulfilled dreams. "Your house is small," Melissa said, standing next to me at the window. My body tensed. "But it's full of love," she continued. "I never saw that before. It's always been here." "I know. I was just looking at the wrong things." Dinner was chaotic. Too many people in too small a kitchen, kids spilling juice, Robert's turkey slightly overcooked. It was ordinary and perfect. After everyone left, I stood in my kitchen washing dishes by hand. The dishwasher was broken, and we hadn't fixed it yet because we were saving for a trip to Italy in the spring. Italy. At 64 years old, I was finally going to Italy. Robert came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. "You okay?" "I'm better than okay." "Melissa did well today." "She did. She's learning. So are we." I dried my hands and turned to face him. My husband of 42 years, with his gray hair and laugh lines and grease-stained hands that had fixed 1,000 things. "You know what I realized?" I said. "What?" She called us ordinary. And she was right. We are. But ordinary is only meaningless if you're looking for meaning in the wrong places. Robert kissed my forehead. "Look at you. Getting philosophical in your old age." "Old age?" I swatted him with the dish towel. "I'm in my prime." We laughed, and in that moment, in our small house with our second-hand furniture and our ordinary lives, I understood something profound. My disappearance from Melissa's life, my refusal to keep funding her dreams at the cost of our own, wasn't punishment. It was the greatest gift I could have given her. It let her fall, and in falling she learned to stand. Just like Robert and I, in stepping back, learned to fly. We're ordinary people. We work regular jobs, or we did. We live in a modest house. We watch Jeopardy and eat dinner at 5:30 and drive old cars. But we're also people who loved fiercely enough to say no, who valued ourselves enough to set boundaries, who believed our daughter was strong enough to survive without us propping her up. And we were right. She's stronger now than she ever was when we were carrying her. Sometimes the best gift you can give someone is letting them learn what they're capable of when you stop doing everything for them. Sometimes disappearing is the only way to help someone truly see. And sometimes ordinary is the most extraordinary thing you can be.